Hello viewers, today for repair I have a Vtech 5.8 gigahertz telephone. This is model, I want to say it's i6763. Nope, it's i6772. Anyways, I bought this one to use around my house because I had one of these. This one. Oh, actually, this is an i6772 as well. Oh, that's strange. Something made me think these are i6773s. They're i676s, whatever. Anyways, this telephone, this is kind of a rare one because the display actually works completely. So, the problem is the buttons just aren't quite as sensitive as they should be. Can make several presses and things don't necessarily always register. Off doesn't work that good. Caller ID button doesn't work that good. 8's not too good. So anyways, what we're going to do here is we're going to open this up, this telephone, and I'm gonna clean out the dial pad. And it's not necessarily a guaranteed fix, but it usually does improve everything quite a bit. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to pull off the battery cover. Actually, I'm going to switch to my other background because the camera's having some strange problems with white balance today. So we'll use this, the blue background. Seems to be recording a little better. Okay, so I'm going to remove the battery. And I've been using a HQRP battery in there, which is not something I typically do. I generally use 4-ion batteries, but at the time, those must have been the cheapest batteries that I could find. And I typically just get cheap ones for this particular set because the batteries don't last very long in this. For some reason, it just goes through batteries like crazy. And at the moment, I am struggling with my anti-static thing. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to begin by unscrewing the two screws at the bottom there. Come on. And this does have a headset jack, so I'm going to very carefully open that. These do have a tendency to break. And the part that breaks is that little tab there. You can see that little tab on the end has a tendency to break. But fortunately that did not happen. So now this is my least favorite part of the process. And it looks like this is not going to open up very easily. So I will get a common screwdriver and I'll zoom this out so you can see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take the blade of the screwdriver and I'm going to put it, I got to make a little bit of a crack here, and I'm going to put it into the space here and just very carefully kind of just slide it down to open it up. And I'll do that on the other side as well. So we got to get the antenna out, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the speaker before that breaks, because the connections that go there have a tendency to break on just about any phone, not necessarily this Vtech one. And there is something else I'm going to point out about this telephone and the antennas. This is a dual band telephone, 5.8 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. And you will see that it actually has two antennas for the different frequencies. You can see the two antennas there. We have antenna number 1 and the antenna number 2. Alright, so now I'm going to remove the speaker from this shell here and put that aside. And the next thing I'm going to do is remove this electronics board so we can get to the dialer pad. So it looks like we have 6 screws in here, which is a little bit excessive. Now, what I'm going to do here once I get inside is I'm going to use cleaning alcohol, and I'm going to just kind of wipe off the surface of the dial pad where the buttons register on the board. And oftentimes that can resolve problems with button sensitivity. Now, on other cases, it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes there's issues with the conductive material wearing out, and I'll get into that more once I open this up, so you can see what parts I'm talking about. And in that case, you'll have to refresh that material on the dialer pad in order to get this working normally. Okay, so now that the screws are removed, I'm going to remove this, well, actually, no, I guess I don't have to remove that yet. I'm going to remove the board. Oh, I see what's going on here. So, we have two nuisances here. We have a headset jack, which is holding this whole thing in, and the side key. So what we're going to have to do is I'm going to pull this up on this side first, and then I will be able to pull it out like that. Okay. Now I want to be very careful with the monitor, because this is a very rare case that the monitor is actually still good. So I'm going to put this down here. Be very careful of that. And now I'm going to begin the cleaning process. So the way the dialer pad works is these are the buttons here, and these little black circles have a conductive material on them. And so when the button is pressed, the conductive material goes against the pickups here on the dialer pad, and it registers a button press. Now, if those are dirty, it won't register correctly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a cotton swab, and I'm going to use this stuff, and I'm going to put some of this on the cotton swab, and I'm going to clean the dial pad. Now this dial pad doesn't actually look all that dirty, so this may or may not help the problem, but I'll do that. And a lot of times what gets on here is well, there's a couple things that could get on here. You know, if somebody spills something into the telephone, that will be on here. Sometimes just junk from your face gets in here over time. Well, this dialer pad is designed correctly, so that probably won't happen too much. Or you can just get dust on here, and it will cause things to not work very well. Either way, this process here should remove all of that. And what's good about using the cleaning alcohol is that it does evaporate very quickly, so the moisture does not cause any damage to the board. Now, a fair bit of what looks to be the conductive material has cleaned off the board. So I'm going to give this a second round of cleaning. And then we're going to test it. Now, sometimes the dial pads here are not designed correctly, and the rubber does not, it's not like a solid piece, and in that case it's very easy for junk to fall in between the buttons and end up on the board. This telephone has a pretty reasonably designed dialer pad, so that won't happen. The other thing that's worth keeping note of when you're doing this is if you have a backlit keypad, there's going to be lights on the board, and there's 4 of them right there. So you want to be careful when you're cleaning not to go over those and then cause damage. Okay, so at this point, now that I've gone through the initial cleaning, I'm going to plug in the battery again, and we're going to give this a test. Okay, so now the dial pad is just resting on here. We're going to give it a test. N seems to be working better. Okay, now we'll test caller ID, which is the left one. This is not a very good way to test it because the keypad's not exactly centered over the buttons, but you can see that it is working reasonably well. Let's test the buttons here. Alright, so I'm going to say that did in fact fix it. So, cleaning that all out. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I will begin the process of putting it back together. And now, typically when I have these open for repair, I give them a nice clean, but this is clean enough that I'm not going to really do anything to it. Because there's just really no need to. So I'm gonna, actually there's a little bit of junk on the end button there. Maybe I will wipe this off before we continue. Okay, so I just cleaned a little bit of the outside of the handset as well. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to set the dial pad back in here. And you want to make sure all the buttons come through properly. Sometimes it's a little bit of a process to get these rubber ones through. They get stuck on the sides. And once they're through, like that, you can then begin the process. Make sure there's no dust or anything inside the monitor before you put it back together, because that can be a real nuisance. Looks like it's pretty clean. So I'm going to turn this over and rest this inside of here. And make sure the headset jack aligns correctly. Okay. It looks good. All the buttons are in there. They're all pressing. We're going to do, actually what I'll do is I'm going to put 2 screws back in. And for putting the screws back in, I like to use, if I could get it open, one of these type of screwdrivers, because it's pretty hard to strip a screw with these or over tighten one. So it just makes for better repair with much less risk. That's not the best size here. Let's use this size. Okay, now we'll do one last test before I put it all back together with the screws in. And why are we not in focus? Focus. Oh, this is a joke. Well, whatever. Does seem to be working a lot better now. Yeah, off works properly now. Let's test caller ID. There's numbers on here, that's why I'm covering the display. Alright, that's good. Okay. So now, pull the battery out, and I'm going to put the rest of the screws in. Unfortunately, it appears that this screwdriver is not magnetic, which is quite a nuisance. What I may do in this case, here, this is something you can try. You have a magnet, and you stick the screwdriver onto it. This will also become magnetic, and then you could get the screw into place. Of course, the magnet that's slightly smaller may be easier to work with, but this is what I have, so this is what I use. I'll just put all the screws in at once, and then we can tighten them afterwards. Okay. Now I'm going to, and this is the sketchy part. You have to get this back in here, and you have to do this very gently because of the speaker wires break. Had that happen once so far, and it was not fun. Hopefully this will go well. This screwdriver appears to be working magnetically, which is nice, always convenient. Okay. And now after this, we just have to close it back up, and it will be ready to put in service. Now here's my least favorite part. I'm going to pull the headset jack cover away. I'm going to slip the antenna in up there, and it looks like the connections are going to be okay. You do have to kind of hook it in up at the top. There's one of the clips. Should be grabbing. Doesn't seem to want to be, and I'm not too sure why. There it goes. Just hold it tight. Okay. And we check the thing again and make sure the speaker is okay. It's okay. Alright. I'm going to put these last two screws in, and then we will be done. Okay. So there you have it. The buttons have been repaired. Headset jack is having a little bit of a problem there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All. What is with that racket? Off was working correctly. On, off, speaker, off, caller ID, off, off, off. Can I get it? Oh, it was out of focus. Fantastic. Alright. Well, that's going to be it. This is repaired, and the camera looks like maybe needs to get a repair. I hope this whole thing hasn't been out of focus. That would stink. Alright, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. comment, subscribe, and out.